Hello everybody, welcome to Let's Play Combat Mission, Barbarossa to Berlin. So the next scenario I'm going to attempt is going to be pretty similar, geographically I guess, and chronologically advancing a bit from the last scenario. And I chose the scenario, I'm not going to just choose from some random map. And it's going to be Kalinin raid, 40 turns, and large map. A bit longer than the usual fare. And it's just above Katukov Stikes Back, which is a scenario that I last played. Kinda convenient, it was just, above it. I didn't choose just because the placement. It seemed to be a pretty interesting scenario, just 2 weeks from, I guess, Katukov was, October 17th, and it is the defense of Moscow. So this is going to be pretty exciting. Kalinin raid, meeting engagement, so no defensive mission. Just trying to find the enemy and defeating them on the field. Volokolamsk, I think that is pretty familiar with if you're familiar with the Eastern Front, it's a pretty well-known highway. It's a clear weather but frozen. Finally snow arrived in Russia, so I don't know how that's going to affect the the battlefield, how the soldiers will react. So it's going to be a desperation time for the Russian forces. Desperation time, and they need to do everything in order to rescue the capital. Here we go, Operation Briefing. Comrade Major, Brigade has ordered an assault toward Kalinin, before the Germans can reorganize and assault Moscow itself. They expect us to catch the Germans unaware of our strength. It's going to be a bit of a surprise. The snow has messed up movement for the past few days, but today will be clear. The terrain will restrict us to the roads due to the heavy forest and bogs, but with luck we reach Kalinin. Kalinin is a special place that we need to reach. Proceed on the attack, push forward and destroy any fascists you meet. Pretty simple enough. Launch a surprise attack and close down the road. To defend the road and destroy any Germans as you meet them. Yeah, it's going to be pretty tall order. Given that we are in rather desperate straits. We're going to have a lot of units, a lot of forces. 3 tanks to start with, T-34, 1 SMG platoon and 1 rifle platoon, and 2 machine guns. And a lot of reserves coming on our way too, 12 tanks, 8 T-26S model. So it's we're going to be in control of just a whole boatload of T-34s. And not only that, 4 VA-10 armored cars, 3 small machine gun platoon and 3 rifle platoon, and 1 mortar, and 10 trucks possibly filled with conscripts and other hardened veterans of the Winter War. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot more involved, and I think this is 2700 points, and we're going to have to reach the fabled objective of Kalinin. So yeah, Kalinin is I think the ultimate objective for us. So let's go into the map and see how it looks like. It's going to be all like snow, and I wonder if you have snow in your area right now, but I don't, so I kind of miss snow. So this is pretty a treat for me, but probably not for you. Yeah, this is all white, just filled with snow. I don't know how it's going to affect the troops, but they're kind of dressed for the weather. And so are the tanks. They seem to be winterized by packing snow on it. And this is T-34 model 1941. Yeah, so standard T-34s that we faced against in the last scenario. And just looking at checking out the stats, definitely very mobile tanks. Yeah, I can give them that. I don't know whether they are rather well protected, but if you face the enemy, then I think you have a good chance of at least ricocheting a couple of shells before everything goes to heck. And overview of the map here, and it says to Kalinin, that is the ultimate objective, and understandably farther away from where we are across the lake. By the way, the lake is frozen, but I don't think I can actually cross it. Maybe I can attempt using the infantry, but I think it is mostly not really safe for the vehicles and other heavy objects. Yeah, so these guys unfortunately are all green and conscript level experience, so they're just being ground into this mission. I think they kind of had a bit of a problem with manpower at this point. A lot of the experienced troops were more or less pressed into counterattacks from June onward, and they didn't have a really great time fighting the Germans. And now these newly green conscripts are pressed into service, and you can see where the most of the destruction already happened on the map by checking out this Volokolamsk highway. Yeah, it's filled with just craters, mostly from mortars and artillery and outfield howitzers. Yeah, you can see what kind of carnage that happened as the Germans roll through here, and then I can expect more of them will be coming. So we are targeting the second wave of Germans after the first line had passed through this area, and we are just going to create a bit of a cutting line between the two groups in order to cut at least the guys who already went off from the rest of the army. Right, so here we are. We have some rifle platoons and SMG platoons and one mortar and two machine guns, I think, on either side of the highway. I think that's a highway, it's a cobblestone highway. And we have some officers as well. And as I mentioned, that ice to the right of our position is not really passable. It's already kind of ringed around with tall pines, so I don't think the vehicles actually try to even attempt to get into it. So first turn, I'm trying to move. Yeah, that's simple, because there is no way other than just move straight and try to get to that intersection where our first objective is. And we are trying to use the pines nonetheless because we want at least a bit of a cover as we move into that intersection, followed by the tanks. And there is some machine gun that I'm putting in the building, yeah, right there, to provide some covering fire. Another thing I want to mention is that these guys require around 17 to 30 seconds before the order gets filtered down and moving. So it's going to maybe come down to experience level, how responsive they are, so I need to be very careful and then try to move them in a big group, in a big happy group, because if I just give any order so that they get separated and they get shot, these green troops will get scared and they get shaken right away and then routed. So they're gonna skip all levels of emotions going through, and then they just go from being pinned, shaken, and then straight up rout. So I need to be very careful and then try to move them under the influence of these officers and in big happy group, preferably followed by big tanks. Yeah, I think it's going to comfort them a bit, you know, this rumbling of tanks behind them. I think it's going to give them a bit of a measure of comfort as they move toward the intersection and the inevitable fight against grizzled veterans of Wehrmacht. Yeah, so the tanks makes a lot of noise as they move, and I think it's going to... Wow, look at that. They have to get out of the way because, you know, the tanks are moving, and if they don't, they get crushed, like these guys. Yeah, they're just crushed. No mercy for the idle. I think they're okay, yeah, I think they're okay. They just move just in time, just doesn't show in the graphics. I wonder how the modern combat mission games will try to portray this in friendly fire situations, maybe. Yeah, so the tanks, this officer guy is surfing on it. So are these guys looking over. Maybe they're going to help identify some targets, maybe, I don't know. I don't think they'll be able to identify targets based on sound because of the horrible noise that it's making. Oh, reinforcement, yeah, so more and more units are being pressed into this highway, Kurganov highway. And Moscow has a lot of highways going from it, so this is, I think, one of it. And yeah, another group of tanks, yeah, looks mighty fine. T-34s. I mean, I do like T-34 as a tank, especially when it comes to its shape. I like the glasses armor. And it's going to be followed by the Panthers, of course. Very nice looking tank that as well. And checking out the map, I'm just trying to mark out the areas where I like to be at the end of this episode. But I think I'm being too hopeful, being too optimistic. And I'm trying to also mark the possible covers for our tanks as they move. Maybe they'll be able to hide there in pocket and trying to ambush the Germans if we get there fast enough. But right now we are kind of crawling I'm not so sure about the pace that we have to use to surprise the Germans here, because it's snow, and I think snow kind of yeah, slows down the troop movement, and I think it also affects the time before they adhere to the orders. And these guys are moving along with the tanks, so I think it's a good thing. But the tanks are obviously, they have wide tracks and no problems traversing in snow with it. I mean, T-34 is made for that purpose, and look at that, look at the vista. I mean, it doesn't really reflect on the snow or anything like that, but it looks pretty beautiful. This is done, so we're looking toward the east. This is north, traveling from north to south, trying to cut the line that Germans have formed along the highway as they try to encircle Moscow under siege, just like they probably are doing at this time against Leningrad too. Yeah, so these guys are lumbering in single file, trying to look at any possible fascist they can find. So yeah, third turn, just moving. The tanks are taking a bit of break, I think. Or is it going to be the next turn that I'm also trying to move and keep pace? Yeah, so still trying to move. Yeah, right there, as you can see. Yeah, no stopping at all, but I'm not giving them advance orders because I think advance orders do tend to tire out soldiers rather quickly. So after one turn of the advance, sometimes involving running to the destination, I think it really takes a lot of toll on the fitness level on the soldiers. No problems for the tanks, but like I said, I like to move them in groups, supported by, heavy armor, if possible. And these guys are stopping just for a second, hopefully for the soldiers to catch up. And you can see the distance now between the soldiers and the tanks. Yeah, we're moving. We're moving toward Turinovo, toward the intersection, and that's where I'm going to split up the troops. One will go towards south, and the other one is going to split off and on the road to Kalinin along Volokolamsk. And you can see a lot of trees. Yeah, this is a whole lot of trees, maybe slowing the PC down. So I apologize if this kind of chugs. It's not as smooth as before, because even though this is older game, if you enable every graphical object, then it gets a bit stuttery. And we get another reinforcement. And it's going to be pretty bad if the fog effect is on and stuff like that, but fortunately this is clear day. But the BA-10s, yeah, the lovely BA-10s with spare tires. I think they need it. I don't know whether they're going to be as quick as T-34s, but they're probably pretty good all-terrain vehicles, and you'll be able to I'm sure that their visibility or their ability to see around them are markedly improved and better than T-34s. I don't think I can identify any enemy units by sound because of the whole lot of tanks now rumbling through. And here I'm trying to disembark the soldiers and then make them try to approach the intersection on foot. Kind of wary about any hidden German guns because I know that they have already gone past this area. You can see that the carnage and the destruction near Volokolamsk highway already. Definitely I'm erring on the side of caution, and there might be some hidden guns. I mean, these guys are just, very, very good at hiding guns and trying to ambush us. And yeah, you can see that these soldiers have disembarked. Obviously in the back of the tank. They're going to take some time before getting the order to move, and now they're doing it on the far end of our vanguard advance right there. Alright, so BA-10 is now moving, and yeah. in groups. And all of them are dressed for winter. Yeah, it seems to be very cozy. Not really cozy, but yeah, I mean, at least they're prepared for winter. Hope that the less is the case for the Germans. Looking out onto the lake. I wonder if that's a lake or just bog. Yeah, so these guys are traveling on the side of the road, accompanied by the tanks. Yeah, so B-10s are moving. They're moving on contact. And these guys, we are almost there, near the intersection, and our first objective. All of them, at least the vanguard or advanced party, are moving on contact. Followed by some infantry given moving orders. Because I like to keep certain, yeah, I mean, I like to go to the destination and then try to keep up the semblance of a group before I actually go out into the intersection, because the intersection is rather exposed. And yeah, I'm trying to right now, I mean, there are a lot of infantry squads, so it took a lot of time in organizing them and then trying to move them one by one. I mean, I can give group orders, but you need to, you know, give them a bit of a little bit of adjustment so that I'm happy with where they are going to end up. So it's going to take a lot of time and yeah, a lot of eye for detail, I guess. Definitely a lot more than the last scenario. Yeah, so the advanced guys here, led by an officer, it seems, HQ unit, is arriving at the edge of the cover here. Yeah, and that's a really nice cover, just behind the tree. And tanks are also following. And these guys will end up ahead of their compatriots, and they're stopping. Oh, okay, so they're buttoning up. So they identify some target, and this guy, the German guy, is trying to attempt to cross the highway. The Soviets cannot have that. Cannot let the Germans cross the highway. So no more. Go back. Anyways, yeah. So we found our first target. It seems like a recon or sniper unit that we are lucky to find, but I think we may have overreacted and gave our position away, and probably lost all elements of surprise. So more reinforcement, more tanks, T-34s arrived. I wonder why they arrive all turned like around. I need to turn them onto the highway, facing the southern direction before moving, and it's gonna take around 30 seconds before they can actually move. Kinda annoying, but I don't know, I'm not here to count seconds. I'm sure that we are just on time without any problems. I think we can still catch some Germans unawares. Yeah, so a lot of tanks, try to organize them now in 2 columns rather than just single file. Bring more guns to the front because a lot more vehicles still to come. I heard about, I don't know, 8 T-26Ss still en route, so yeah, I need to make some space before actually trying to break out of this area. So in hunt mode now, the tank is hunt mode. They're alerted by the presence of that lone German squadron. Just going down the highway and trying to look. Oh my goodness, yeah, it got hit. Where did it get hit? Or where did the shot come from? Goodness, they shot the infantry right out of the back of the tank and immobilized the tank. That is not really good. Seems to be lighter caliber gun that is targeting with accuracy. Very accurate shot. The shots are landing on the side of the tanks, but just ricocheting. So I don't think it's a tank that is shooting. It's probably an advanced party on the German side was able to discover this tank, and then it's just shooting through that small opening facing onto the lake. I think I think the tank was still given a movement order, but it stopped for some reason, and then it got hit through that little, space between the pines. So I think it was really unlucky for us, but I don't know, it wasn't able to destroy the tank. So the tank will have to do something about it, obviously, as a bit of a impromptu or, yeah, just makeshift bunker or something. at least it's able to see down this highway for I think around 200 meters out. Yeah, but one tank already disabled, folks, so I don't know what to make of it. It's just not really good start for us. Yeah, you can see that sound contact on the right side, on the edge of the other side of the lake there. It's not really a good look for us because I don't think we can really surprise them anymore. Maybe the AI knows exactly where we are, obviously, but yeah, I like to think that we at least have a bit of a element of surprise on our hands, trying to shield how much of a force that we are bringing. Maybe they think that this is just a scant, straggling force or something that was part of the defeated army here. I'm not so sure. Alright, so we are moving now. Some of them moving really fast, and some of the infantry are moving across the highway in order to form a second group that's going to go to Moscow. All the vehicles around this stricken tank is going to move really fast, pass by it. And the tank itself is going to try to shoot area fire in order to maybe land a lucky shot at the last known position of the enemy that had disabled it. And once again, the German attempts to cross the highway, but we don't really want to know the answer why the Germans crossed the highway. So we're just shooting him and trying to drive him back. Anyways, yeah, I'm just trying to make light of the situation a bit because all we are doing is just moving off the highway in snow, so nothing really exciting is happening. Yeah, I mean, he keeps shooting, but this is just a protest. Kind of me just widely, like, you know, complaining and protesting what happened, and just not really accepting the situation here that I lost already the T-34. It still has plenty of AP rounds. It can also has around 40 high explosive rounds as well. And these guys are now moving up, trying to catch up to the rest of the troops. These guys are now arrived at the intersection. It's pretty close. That building up there is where we're going to go and trying to maybe be what do you call, outpost. Other reinforcement arrives, so yeah, it's not stopping at all. The highway keeps providing. And these are the trucks filled with infantry. Yeah, so 1 squadron per truck and 4 trucks arrived. And also turned. I don't know why it's turned. I thought it was just traveling along the highway. Soviet truck. Possibly Land-Lease American truck. Very, very unarmed, and it's going to probably get destroyed by any of the sniping half-tracks or any light guns that the Germans might bring. And I hear some weird plane flying overhead, which is really worrying because I don't really think that the Red Air Force, or I don't know what they call it exactly, but was ready to defend the airspace against the Luftwaffe. So I have all the reason to believe that the noise overhead is from the Germans, which is very worrying. Yeah. And this guy's still trying to area fire. Right now, I think in hindsight, I should have given an order to form a zone of fire, give it an arc of fire, targeting armor. I think that's another mistake that I made here as I was trying to move up. But at least has a effect of dissuading Germans from coming near and trying to take out additional vehicles such as the B-810s, more T-34s. Yeah, so infantry moving into the pine forest, undeterred, hopefully be able to make it with enough fitness so that they can actually advance through some coming fire, because they're sure going to face some fire as they move out of the intersection and onto the highway that split. And we already took first objective. And these tanks, unfortunately, I don't know whether this is due to the experience level or lack thereof, but they have a bit of trouble navigating around the other object. And this guy is moving really fast. That's the maximum speed that T-34 can muster in the snow. This guy wants to thread the needle between these two T-34 tanks, but cannot, so they have to change the direction here, turn, and this guy wants to give room, but then it moves a bit farther away, backward. But they're able to figure it out. yeah, they're figuring it out, so that's good. They'll be able to be on their way pretty soon. And noise from air, not really happy about that. Definitely sounds like some German Stufka or something. Or Stuka, sorry, not Stufka. What is Stufka? Sounds Russian. Anyways, yeah, these guys arrived, and then also quiet. Very quiet all of a sudden. Yeah, so tanks are able to now reposition themselves here and then trying to form a bit of a line, hunt ahead. I don't want to sacrifice my veteran tanks. The rear tanks are moving in front of them. A veteran tank, when they're unbuttoned, is able to give some directions at least. And some of the infantry are now trying to move onto the fringe of the cover, overlooking the intersection. And the BA-10s are still going to move. And group of infantry is going to cross into the left side of the highway in order to, you know, make use of the cover there and then advance toward Moscow. Yeah, alright, so yeah, these guys are now going to try to move as fast as possible. And it's almost very near go time to break through the intersection and kind of break out. I don't know, I cannot really expect the level of resistance, the level of, you know, amount of enemy that we are going to face, but we have to make sure that at least we are going to put a strong front and then yeah, advance as much as possible. And yeah, this is the culprit that obviously disabled our T-34, and it kind of got scared, I think, here. It's moving a bit backward after, you know, seeing how the area of fire is really close to it. And you can see the speed of BA-10s, very fast. It's like they're just burning rubber, 6 tires all together. And these guys are now moving across the highway, and yeah, tanks are now in position to move up ahead. The mortar is also, yeah, it's also trying to set up across the highway, I think. And yeah, all the tanks have arrived and ready to move, trying to support the infantry, now moving into intersection. And this guy, he's rather slow and then gets hit by this half-track and immediately gets broken. So this is what I mean by green troops. They get just, I mean, bullet whizzes by. He didn't even suffer any casualty, but then immediately got broken. This guy, yeah, and then trying to get away from it all. I don't know where he's going to end up, but yeah, it doesn't really look for... Oh my goodness, yeah, other troops get shot out from T-34. Really discouraging sign. At least they didn't get broken. And finally, near the front, these guys are now moving. You can see also the mortar to the left trying to cross. And yeah, okay, so final reinforcements arrived in this episode. So a group of tanks, 3 tanks. I think we already have 9 tanks, so another group of T-34s are expected. And here we are trying to move as close as possible to intersection once again, trying to support the infantry with the tanks. And the BA-10s are also trying to move abreast of the front lines or the tanks that are on the front line in order to provide some recon before we move our forces. Yeah, so the final turn here in this episode, we are trying to go into the intersection physically and then try to occupy some of the buildings and covers that we may need in order for us to advance and to provide some set of eyes so that we see what we are going up against. So there are 2 objectives, minor objectives I think, in front, and we have to speed our troops a bit. And that's what we are doing in order to, by sending some of the forces across the highway. And finally, I give an order to form a zone of fire here, an arc, targeting the vehicles specifically, because I have not done that, and I should have done that maybe 3 turns ago. But now I'm doing it. Maybe I'll be able to catch some half-tracks that are trying to still, you know, target some of the soft targets here, including the truck. And right now it is targeting the infantry here, yeah, as you can see. Yeah, wow, okay, just running straight over these guys. No mercy for the cowards, I guess. And this guy gets routed. Yeah, second shot, didn't even land, and just steps over his compatriots and then just bursts into the some house to get some cover. Yeah, finally he makes it, and he's going to probably stay there for the rest of the battle before being court-martialed and stuff like that. All right, so these guys are ready to move. Finally, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that you find me trying to, make light of the situation or trying to insert some of the levity to this more than usual because I'm just traveling the highway. I'm not really doing anything. No tank battles or no pitched firefight, anything like that. So, yeah, just trying to give a running commentary on what is happening with more of a color commentary, if you will. And yeah, finally we make on the other side of the highway as well. Those guys are going to go to Moscow and meet Stalin or something. Alright, so yeah, the regular troop there trying to enter the building. Those are the most experienced squadron. And yeah, so ends turn 10. And still a long ways to go before we reach the Volokolamsk highway. I think that is where we want to be after turn 20 possibly. And turn 30 there. And of course, if we reach there in Volokolamsk, we want to really stabilize the rear by clearing the area, for example, the road to Moscow. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's just start of a probably long battle, 40 turns plus, and hope you can join me along for the rest of the battle. Once again, thank you for watching. Until next time, please stay tuned.